Ladies and gentlemen, to discuss the truth about what's really happening on our southern border, please welcome Congressman Louie Gohmert.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I tell you what, wonderful to follow my old friend, our vice president. But let me ask you, if your political party has an answer to the coronavirus, and that is first to condemn President Trump, and then number two, to demand wide open borders, and number three, declare anybody a racist that doesn't want wide open borders, would you be proud of your party? No, I wouldn't think so. But that's what we're up against. They want wide open borders, and they want to call you a racist if you just want the rule of law to be applied across the board. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. But let me tell you, a government that won't enforce the law equally, fairly across the board, is headed to being this ubiquitous Orwellian government that you have to go beg for every little thing you want, and we are not going to go there. Now, in 1986, I wasn't even thinking about running for any office back then. It was before I was a judge, before I was a Chief Justice. But I knew what the Congress was doing was not smart. They said, okay, President Reagan, we need an amnesty for everybody that's here illegally, and we'll put border security in the same bill. Well, that didn't work. If you're going to put amnesty and border security in the same bill, you get the amnesty and you don't get the border security. So what I've been saying ever since I've been in Congress, and I hope every one of you say the same thing, you get our border secured, and then we'll work out this other stuff. You know, right now in Congress, we're being told, look, we need workers in agriculture, and we do. And I totally understand that and am for that. But we are being told, no, we got to go ahead and do this amnesty now so that agriculture has workers, and then we'll worry about the border security. Is that the answer? No. Secure the border. And by the way, some people say, oh, you must hate Hispanics. Are you kidding me? I see the Hispanic culture, and generally speaking, they have a love of God. They have a devotion to family. They have a hard work ethic. That made America great. We want that. But the best thing we can do for Mexico, for our neighbor, is to secure the border. They ought to be a top 10 economy easily. They got the raw natural resources. They got a better location than the United States. They're between two continents, between two oceans. But they have unbridled corruption. And where does the money come from for the unbridled corruption? It comes from the United States, buying drugs, paying for human trafficking. So what happens when we secure the border, build the wall everywhere we need it? You cut that money for corruption down to a trickle, and we in the United States help our good neighbor Mexico to be one of the top economies in the world. Isn't that what a good neighbor ought to do? Yeah, it's not a hateful idea. It's a compassionate idea to help our neighbor to the south end the corruption that is creating so much havoc for so many people south of our border that just want peace. But it doesn't help to leave the border wide open. So we need deterrence too. Not only do we need people being trotted off to prison who attempted a coup of our president, but I was hoping you'd react to that. We do need that. It's time to end some people call it a two-tier justice system. No. It's injustice for one group of people and ignoring justice for the others, and that's got to stop. But the same thing for our border. You say, how could you be so uncaring? Look, yeah, I was a judge. I sent people to prison. I've looked people in the eye that deserve the death penalty and pronounced it. But I'm telling you, when it comes to entering this country illegally, we do need to apply that across the board. It's got to be, we got to secure the border and stop this flow coming in. We're losing our country. And it's not 11 million now. They're saying, well, maybe 22 million. We don't know how many people are here illegally, but it's got to stop. We can't keep this up. But what if your political party says, we want control of the White House, we want control of the House, we want control of the Senate, and the best chance we have of getting power throughout Washington is if we can give the vote to everybody that broke the law to enter the United States, and we can also get felons voting that are currently in prison, and we can get people that don't speak English so that we can manipulate them more easily into voting our direction, and we get people that may be mentally infirm, but we get them to make an X or something so we can vote absentee for them. And then there's one other area, and I know that a lot of you are working to get out the vote so that they vote to save this little experiment in self-government. But there is one group we have not been able to break into. We get 0% of their vote. And of course, I'm talking about dead people. It doesn't matter how you vote your whole life. Once you die, you vote 100% Democrat. That's got to change. You know, we need to be able to break into that group as well. But let me tell you, we had the House of Representatives, we had the majority in the Senate, and thank God we had Donald Trump in the White House, and we squandered 2 years. And some of us didn't understand, why can't we just bring a bill that repeals Obamacare and secures the border? We passed that over and over when we didn't have a majority in the Senate. Let's bring them back and pass them now. And for 2 years, we didn't have Republican leaders that would bring those bills to the floor. We didn't understand. And actually in September of 2016, we were being told in the Republican conference, members of Congress, over and over, okay, guys, here is the word for us. When there's no drama, we win. When there's no drama, we win. Must have heard it 100 times. No drama, we win. Remember, guys, I finally had to get up and say, wait a minute, that's not right. The Senate was in danger of losing their majority till they had some drama and they stood up for Justice Kavanaugh, and now I think they can keep the majority. If we will stand up for what we said we were going to do and show America, even if the Senate doesn't pass the same bill, if we pass it now before the election in November, I think we got a shot at keeping the majority. But we're going to have to show America some drama. We're going to have to stand up and fight. And if we would just pass a bill that funds the building of the wall where we need it, I think we can keep the majority. But that was not the prevailing leader's sentiment. The sentiment came back, no, he's so misguided. Because when there's no drama, we win. Well, that's garbage. It didn't work. And if we are going to secure this experiment in self-government, we're going to have to fight. And that means we have got to keep pushing to secure our border. We have got to make sure that we get the drug cartels defunded of American money in the process. Because let's face it, nobody crosses from south to north across our southern border without the permission of the drug cartels. It's got to stop. If we're going to save this country, it's got to stop. So I'm grateful to CPAC for having me. They do such great work. And I don't know if I'd been listening to my friend, the vice president, I probably would have left after he finished. So thank you for being here. But let me tell you, no, thank you. But this is serious stuff. What we need is not only to secure the border and avoid any amnesties until the border is secure, but we have got to have every one of you volunteer either to chair a precinct, to be a poll watcher, because there's going to be cheating going on. The president's asked me, don't you think, aren't I doing okay in Texas? I said, you're doing great in Texas. He said, so you don't think I can win? I said, well, you think I can't lose? And I said, well, it depends. Well, if I'm doing that well, and I said, we don't know how many tens of thousands of people will vote illegally in Texas. We don't know how many votes will be changed from Republican to Democrat after they vote, especially after early voting. We've got to have people properly trained that know what the rules, what the law is, to make sure that cheating doesn't happen. So we not only secure the border, we secure our elections, because that is a threat to this country. John Fund wrote the book on fraud in elections, and John says the biggest fraud about elections is the statement that there's no fraud in elections. So we have got to step up. We have got to make a difference. Maybe you can't go help out on the border in the South. We've got people, the president has seen to this, we've got people down there doing their job, but you can help out in your precinct. We need everybody to participate. Some people say, well, if our rights are endowed by our Creator, why do we have to work for them? And I'm telling you, these rights are so rare in the world, not because others are not endowed with them, but it's like anything you inherit. If you're not willing to fight for your inheritance, evil people will take that inheritance, that endowment away from you. Our job is to fight. I love it that you're here. That tells me you're a fighter. I pray that you will step out and continue to step out and help us secure this little experiment in government, self-government. But let me tell you, I get tired of Christian friends in Congress saying, Louie, we don't have to worry. God's in control. Well, there's a preacher in Denton named Tommy Nelson. He said, yeah, God's in control, but just because he's in control doesn't mean he wants you to lean on your shovel and pray for a hole. He's giving you tools. You use those tools, and then we can get what we're praying for. Thank you very much. God bless every one of you. Thank you all. Thank you all.